Welcome back to the deep dive where we really get into the meat of things.
We're kind of like those, deep sea divers going down, 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 deep into the ocean of information.
But instead of, coming back up with some weird, like, bioluminescent fish.
We bring back those shiny pearls of knowledge.
Exactly. And today's pearls are all about starting a podcast after, well, let's just say after you've hit the big 4-day.
Because let's be real, sometimes figuring out all this new tech stuff
Makes you feel about 100 years old.
Right. Like back in my day, we had like cassette tapes and answer machines, and that was high tech.
Oh, tell me about it. But, enough about our ancient history.
The point is, even if you're, a little bit technologically challenged,
A lot technologically challenged.
still totally rock the podcasting world.
So let's talk about that moment, when the podcasting bug bites you.
It's like a light bulb moment. You're hanging out with friends. Maybe you've had a little wine.
Or a lot of wine.
And someone's like, you should really have your own podcast.
And you're all, me, a podcaster. Yeah, right.
But then you start thinking about it.
And you realize, hey, I do have some things to say.
Exactly. But then comes the reality check.
When you realize that podcasting involves, like, actual equipment.
And software and microphones and mixers and
It's enough to make your head spin.
I remember when I first started looking into all this stuff, I was like, what in the world is a cardioid condenser microphone?
It sounds like something out of Star Trek.
Seriously.
Wow.
And then there's the mixer. All those knobs and buttons. It's like more complicated than my car dashboard.
Right. And don't even get me started on the editing software. It's like they're speaking a foreign language.
Totally. But here's the thing.
It doesn't have to be that complicated.
You don't need to go out and buy a whole recording studio.
Nope. You can actually start pretty simple.
Like even with just your phone.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you get more comfortable, you could upgrade your equipment.
But for now, let's keep it basic.
So first things first.
You need a microphone.
And yes, there are like a million different types of microphones.
But honestly, you can get away with using your phone's built-in microphone or, like a simple headset microphone.
The kind you use for Zoom calls.
Exactly. The important thing is that it captures your voice clearly and doesn't pick up a bunch of background noise.
Like, your dog barking.
Or your kids yelling.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so you've got your microphone situation figured out.
Now what?
Now you need a way to record and edit your audio.
And this is where it can get a little tricky.
But don't worry, we're going to break it down for you.
There's a ton of different audio editing software out there.
Some are free, some you got to pay for.
But you definitely don't need to be like a professional sound engineer or anything to produce a decent sounding podcast.
No way. There are lots of user-friendly options out there.
Like GarageBand if you have a Mac or
Audacity. That one's free and works on both Mac and PC.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And then if you really want to keep things super simple, there are even apps specifically designed for podcasting.
Like Anchor?
Oh, Anchor's awesome. You can record, edit, and even distribute your podcast all in one place.
It's pretty amazing, actually.
Super easy to use. So, yeah, there are definitely ways to make the technical side of things a lot less scary.
Absolutely.
And remember, you don't have to figure it all out right away.
That's the beauty of podcasting. It's a learning process.
You'll make mistakes along the way. We all do.
Oh, we've definitely made our fair share of mistakes.
But that's part of the fun. And as you get more experience, you'll get more comfortable with all the tech stuff and be able to focus on what really matters.
Creating awesome content and connecting with your listener.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered the basic equipment you need to start a podcast, but now let's talk about the fun stuff.
The creative side of things.
Exactly. This is where you get to really let your personality shine.
And for those of us who are, shall we say, a bit more experienced in life.
Sure.
Seasoned.
Vintage.
We've got a lot of stories to tell, right?
Yeah, we've seen it all, haven't we?
We've been through, a million different fashion trends.
The rise and fall of, a dozen different technologies.
We remember when gas was under $1 a gallon.
Oh, the good old days.
But seriously, all those experiences, they give us a unique perspective,
A wealth of knowledge.
And that's something worth sharing.
Absolutely. So when you're thinking about what to talk about on your podcast, what topics to cover.
Don't be afraid to tap into all that life experience.
Yeah. Think about what you're passionate about.
What are you an expert on?
What are you always ranting about to your friends?
Exactly.
Because chances are other people are interested in that stuff too.
It's all about finding your niche, right?
Right. And, it doesn't have to be, like, super serious or anything.
You can totally be funny. In fact, I think it's important to be funny.
Oh, for sure. People love to laugh.
And you know what they say? Laughter is the best medicine.
So true.
So don't be afraid to, like, share those funny stories.
Those embarrassing moments.
Those times when you totally messed up and live to tell the tale.
Exactly. Embrace the chaos. And, another great thing about podcasting is that it can be a really great way to, like, connect with people.
Yeah, you can build a whole community around your podcast.
It's awesome. Like, you find all these people who are into the same things you are.
It's like finding your tribe.
Totally. And that can be really important, especially as you get older.
Yeah, like when you're not in school anymore.
And your kids are grown up.
And you're not, necessarily meeting a ton of new people.
Podcasting can be a great way to stay connected.
To feel like you're part of something.
To keep learning and growing.
Exactly. So, yeah, we've talked about like the technical side of podcasting and the content creation side of things.
But there's one more thing we need to talk about.
And it's a big one.
It's the thing that, like, holds a lot of people back from actually starting a podcast.
Self-doubt.
Ugh, self-doubt.
It's the worst.
It really is.
With like that little voice in your head that's all, who are you to do this?
You're too old.
You're not interesting enough.
You're gonna sound stupid.
Ugh, it's so annoying.
It is. But here's the thing.
Everyone feels that way sometimes.
It's totally normal to feel self-doubt, especially when you're trying something new.
Like starting a podcast.
Yeah. So the key is to, like, not let that self-doubt stop you.
Don't let it hold you back from pursuing your passions.
Because,
you have something valuable to offer the world.
we all do.
Your unique perspective, your stories, your voice.
It matters.
And the world needs to hear it. So don't let that self-doubt win.
Push through it.
And remember, you don't have to be perfect.
No one is.
Just be yourself.
And have fun.
Speaking of fun, let's talk about the business side of podcasting.
Like how to actually get your podcast out there for people to listen to.
Because you can have the most amazing podcast in the world, but if no one knows about it,
it's not going to do much good, right?
Right. So how do you get people to listen to your podcast?
Well, the first step is to, like, get it listed on all the major podcast directories.
Like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And the good news is most podcast hosting platforms like Anchor will do this for you automatically.
So that's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's not as complicated as it sounds.
But you also want to, like, promote your podcast on social media.
Tell your friends about it.
Share it on your website.
Get the word out there.
You know what else is important?
What's that?
Having a good podcast title and description.
Oh, yeah, that's super important.
Because that's what people are going to see when they're browsing through podcasts, trying to decide what to listen to.
You want to make sure your title is catchy and your description is, like, really clear about what your podcast is all about.
And don't forget about the artwork.
Oh, yeah, the artwork is important too.
You want something that's eye-catching and represents your brand.
Exactly. And speaking of branding, it's a good idea to, like, have a consistent look and feel for your podcast.
Like, use the same colors and fonts on your website and social media.
It just makes everything look more professional and put together.
And speaking of professional, I think it's time for us to give a shout out to our sponsor.
Payment Solutions.
They make sending and receiving money so easy.
It's like magic.
Seriously. And it's super helpful for, like, managing all the expenses that come with podcasting.
Like hosting fees and equipment upgrades and all that jazz.
So yeah, if you're looking for a simple and secure way to handle your finances, check out Payment Solutions.
You won't be disappointed. It's kind of wild how starting a podcast can, like, really change you,
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey.
For real, I feel like I've learned so much, not just about podcasting, but, like, about myself, too.
Me too. And it's amazing to see how many people are, like, jumping into the podcasting world later in life.
Right. It's like, age ain't nothing but a number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, those podcasts that are created by people who are, a little bit older, they often have, like, this extra layer of depth.
Totally. They got all those years of experience to draw from.
Right. And they're not afraid to, like, get real about the ups and downs of life.
Yeah, they've been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Exactly. And I think that makes them so much more relatable.
For sure. Plus, they're not trying to be all, like, perfect and polished.
Yeah, they're just being themselves, flaws and all.
And that's what makes them so great.
And, it's inspiring to see that you don't have to be some kind of tech whiz or media mogul to create a successful podcast.
Nope. You just got to have something to say.
Exactly. And a willingness to learn and grow.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Podcasting is definitely a learning process.
But it's so worth it.
Totally. And the cool thing is, it's always changing, always evolving.
Yeah, there's always something new to try, some new format to experiment with.
Like, you can start with just you and a microphone sharing your thoughts and stories.
But then you can, like, branch out,
Yeah.
Start doing interviews, bring on co-hosts.
Add some music, some sound effects, get creative.
Exactly. And the more you do it, the more you'll develop your own style, your own unique voice.
Yeah, it's like you find your groove.
And along the way, you might even build like a whole community around your podcast.
Oh, yeah, totally. You connect with people who share your interests, your values, your sense of humor.
It's pretty amazing, actually.
It really is. Like, who would have thought that talking into a microphone could be so powerful?
Right. It can bring people together, spark new friendships, even lead to new opportunities.
Well, totally.
So to anyone out there who's thinking about starting a podcast,
Yeah.
especially if you're, over 40
Or 50.
or 60,
Or 70.
we say go for it.
Seriously, what are you waiting for?
You have a story to tell, a perspective to share, a voice that deserves to be heard.
Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Embrace the chaos, embrace the learning curve, embrace the imperfections.
Because that's what makes it real.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There's a whole community of podcasters out there ready to support you.
And of course, if you need any help with, the money side of things,
Payment Solutions is here for you.
they make it so easy to send and receive money, which is super helpful when you're managing all those podcasting expenses.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive into podcasting after 40, we want to leave you with one final thought.
Think about one small step you can take today to move closer to your podcasting goals.
Maybe it's brainstorming some ideas or researching some equipment or even just like hitting record on your phone and just talking for a few minutes.
Whatever it is, just take that first step. You won't regret it.
And remember, we're here to cheer you on every step of the way.
Thanks for tuning in to the deep dive.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to help us go viral.
And we will do the same for you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the things that spark your curiosity.